Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be looking at a new Empoleon card. Now, the fact that we're looking at a new Empoleon in and of itself makes me incredibly happy. But Empoleon's not my favourite penguin Pokemon. No, ladies and gentlemen, that honour goes to Piplup, and the great news is that we are looking at Piplup here just as much as we are looking at Empoleon. And let's not bury the lead, let's get this right out there at the beginning. There's a new type of card coming out in this particular set over in Japan. It's a CHR rarity, and basically it's full art. Lovely full art cards. Now, we've only seen a couple of them. We'll look at the next couple as we go through over the next couple days. But you generally see Pokemon with their trainers. So here you've got Piplup, but they're with Dawn on the card. And it's exactly the same as the other Piplup in the set, just a darn sight more beautiful. But let's start off with Empoleon here. So we've got 160 HP, which is pretty high, but then again, it is what we would expect from an Empoleon. It's what the one from Ultra Prism had. We've got a retreat cost of 2, which is kind of awkward, but we do have that new Beware that will turn that into free retreat, which is quite nice. That helps out quite a bit. We got a weakness to lightning, which isn't good. Now, the good news is that Zapdos isn't hitting for weakness here, but the bad news is that Lightning decks, because of stuff like Electro Power, because of stuff like Pikachu and Zekrom, Lightning decks are out there and they are good, and this sucks. Really nice that Zapdos doesn't hit for weakness, otherwise it would KO, but it'd be much better to have a Grass weakness. And you're a Water type. And Water type is alright. Water type means you're hitting weakness against Reshiram and Charizard and Breaks In. Not Reshiram and Zekrom, however, because they are a Dragon type. But the point is, what we've got here is a good weakness to be hitting. With cards like Welder running around, Fire decks are good right now. But what do the attacks do? Well, the first attack here is by far the most interesting. 1 colorless energy, Recall. Choose an attack from this Pokemon's previous evolutions and use it as this attack. Now, the wording here is extremely important because you don't need the requisite energy. So if we have a look at the Zoroark from Black and White, it's a bit of an old one now, but a very good card, one that's dear to me heart. Choose one of the defending Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. It's saying use the attack. It does not say you need to have the requisite energy. Whereas if we compare that to something like Mewtwo and Mew, the new Tag Team GX, it says this Pokemon can use the attacks of any Pokemon GX or EX on your bench or in your discard pile. You still need the necessary energy to use each attack. In the Pokemon trading card game, they are very clear. If they tell you you need to have the necessary energy, then you do. And if they don't explicitly tell you, then you don't. That means that for a single colorless energy, you can use the attacks of any Piplup or Prinplup from which Empoleon has evolved. Now, we don't know what Prinplup does, but we do know what Piplup does. Prinplup will be revealed in the next week at the latest, but we've at least got Piplup for now. Free water energy, but remember, you're not actually using Piplup here, using Empoleon to use it. 80 damage. If the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So you're doing 80 damage and shutting down basic Pokemon, but you're doing it for a single colorless energy. This isn't like Memory Berry. Memory Berry lets you use the attacks, but you need the requisite energy. I said Memory Berry, I meant Memory Energy, but to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, they did the same thing, just one as a Pokemon tool and one as an energy. And of course, they both specifically say you need the requisite energy in order to pay the attack cost. This is really nice. Because let's take a look at your average Reshiram and Charizard deck. You got Reshiram and Charizard, and nowadays they're going to have Charizard and Braixen. They're probably going to be playing Volcanion, that's played in a lot. They might be playing Turtonator, the ones from Dragon Majesty. I've seen a few with non-GX Blacephalon, though not as many. And then there's the odd ones with Arcanine. Now, to be fair, Arcanine is an evolved Pokemon, but you'll also one-hit KO Arcanine, so yeah, you're fine with that. Against something like Reshiram and Charizard, you basically don't lose with this attack. But let's take something like a Pikachu and Zekrom deck. They're generally playing Pikachu and Zekrom, and they're playing Zapdos, and they're playing Jirachi, though they can't usually attack with Jirachi. And sometimes they're playing Ultra Beast, stuff like Buzzwole or Nihilego, and they're all basic Pokemon. Now, you do see some of them playing Jolteon GX, and to be fair, Jolteon GX, you're not one-hit KOing, you're not even two-hit KOing it, and they're hitting you for weakness, so they very much are one-hit KOing you. So Jolteon's not ideal here, but honestly, not that many decks have been playing it. If we have a look at your average Malamar deck, now they do have Malamar and they can attack with Malamar, and you are annoyingly 10 damage short of KOing them, at least with this first attack. But then by the same token, they're only doing 60 to you. Their Giratina, yeah, it's a basic Pokemon. Their Ultra Necrozma, yeah, basic Pokemon. Their Garchomp and Giratina, basic Pokemon. Now, what you're doing is stopping the defending Pokemon attacking if they're a basic. They can switch out. And if they switch out, I mean, to be fair, right, if they switch out, they've still got to do 160 to take a single prize. It's not exactly some kind of guaranteed thing. But given that we've lost both Guzma and Ace Roller to the rotation, switching is going to be much less prevalent. And even if they switch, you're going to be stopping them attacking. So they're going to have to constantly have a second Pokemon with a good enough attack and enough energy attached to it in order to actually start taking you down here. And that's where Empoleon really starts to make some hay. There will be games where your opponent can switch around and stop you, and if they do, it happens. But there will be other games where they can't, and in those kind of games, you're basically just going to sit there hitting their basics until they win. Now, of course, after you take a KO, then they will be able to attack, but then you've taken at least one prize, often more, and they can maybe take one. That's fine, ladies and gentlemen. Now, incidentally, we did get a couple of other Piplup and Ultra Prism, but they're nothing to get excited about. The one with 60 HP does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. The one with 70 HP does either 10 or 20 to the active. Might I suggest doing 20? But honestly here, it doesn't really matter, because they're both significantly worse than the Piplup in this set. Incidentally, there are some times where your opponent's got an outrage attack, for instance, like Reshiram and Charizard, where doing 10 could be better than doing 20, because you're keeping them out of range of KOing you, but generally more is better. There is also going to be a Prinplup, at least one in the set that you will be able to copy, but unfortunately that has not been released by the lovely folks over in Japan, so as it stands at the moment, we don't know what that Prinplup does. Hopefully it'll be something good. But honestly, given that the Piplup has got the fancy full art card, it's probably the better of the two. Sorry, Prinplup, one day you'll get your moment. But please bear in mind that this card is future-proofed, because essentially any other Piplup or Prinplup that is released, you'll be able to copy. That's quite nice. Now, as for the second attack, 2 colourless energy, 130, discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. Honestly, the best bet here is triple acceleration energy. It will cover both the energy plus a third if you're really into that, and it gets discarded at the end of your turn anyway, so it's quite nice that it falls off, because it's, it's going to fall off anyway. And to be fair, doing 130 is really good. 130 will KO those non-GXs like Buzzwole, although annoyingly it will fall 10 damage short of KOing a Reshiram and Charizard. You can always play a Shrine of Punishment to make up the difference and then you'll get the KO, but as it stands you're 10 short. But we've talked a lot in videos previously about how 130 is so much better than 120. Being able to hit the 130 here is very, very nice, because you've also got all those things like Grand Ball sitting there at 130 that you will then be able to take out. It's not the best thing about the card. The best thing about the card is copying Piplup to do 80 and blocking basic attacks for a single energy. That's cool. But a second attack, 2 energy, or really 1 energy attachment if using triple acceleration energy, to do 130 is still pretty nice. It's not the best, most powerhouse Empoleon we've ever seen, but it ain't too bad, ladies and gentlemen. And do remember that if you're playing this Empoleon, you can play the other Empoleon that does 20 damage for each benched Pokemon, yours and your opponent's. So you can sit there blocking their basic Pokemon, and then at some point going, boom, now I've got the other Empoleon, now I'm doing significantly more damage. And don't forget that in Forbidden Light, we literally got a metal version of that exact same Empoleon, so you can hit metal weakness with that if that's what you're into. This is good. This is really good. I don't think it's going to revamp the format like some other cards we've seen over the past day or two, but I do think that it is going to be an extremely good card, especially with the new Piplup, and it is going to cause a lot of people a lot of problems. So I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I think you're going to see some play with this, and especially when you start combining it with the other Empoleon, I think we could be onto a winner. But I'd like to know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, so please do go ahead and let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have Pokemon in. And there is a couple actually over there on which I'm doing giveaways, so you can win free versions of the games. Yay! But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.